Hello, Georgia Jaguar here, Stampin' Georgia. I'm super excited to share a super simple watercolor technique with you today using Stampin' Up's new Waterfront stamp set. It's one that is hardly watercoloring at all, but yet it gives the great effect of watercoloring. This particular card was shared with me from team member Becky Edson, and of course I had to go home and give what she showed us a try. So come on, let's get started. So here's the card again. I did a beach scene, and this is the stamp set that I used, the new Waterfront from the Spring Occasions catalog. And I'm going to use several pieces in this. It's photopolymer, so it makes it super easy to use because you can see right where you're putting your ink down. So to get started, I went ahead and cut with my stitched shapes framelits. I cut out a couple of squares, and it's the largest stitched square. I'm going to set my Stampin' Pierce mat under my grid paper so that I don't make a mess on my Stampin' Pierce mat. That's a tip that's for free, not even part of what I'm going to show you. I'm starting out with crumb cake ink, and I'm using this particular stamp that could be water, it could be sky, it could be whatever you want it to be. And in this particular instance, it's going to become sand. And I'm going to do two side by side simply because I want you to see the difference. I'll do one just stamped, and I'll do one where I've added watercolor. I'm using an aqua painter, and I'm going to go in between colors. So I'm just going to go ahead, and you can see how that kind of adds a little bit more life to that. And I'm working on shimmery white cardstock. It's my favorite for adding any kind of water. So we've got one that's added watercolor and one that's just plain stamping. Then my next step is I'm going to work on my sky. And I love the colors that Becky used, so I'm going to start first with Blushing Bride, and I'm going to add that up just a little ways. And I love that these stamps are designed to look like brush strokes. So I'm just going to clean that off because my sky isn't going to just be Blushing Bride. We're going to add a little bit of So Saffron, and I'm going to stamp that off once because I don't want it to be as bold, and I'm just going to reverse that same stamp so it doesn't look like a repeat of the same stroke. Oops, went off my grid there. Stamp off, add that. So now I've got those two colors going. Notice I do close my stamps up in between because I tend to go ahead and stick my stamps in the wrong color. I don't know if that ever happens to you. So we're going to leave this one alone, and I'm just make sure my aqua painter has got no color, and I'm going to go up and just kind of move the Blushing Bride, and then I'm going to go up and do the So Saffron. You don't want to work too far ahead because your inks will dry too quickly. Now I'm going to just take my stamp pad, and you've probably done this before. I could use one of the stamps to fill in for sky there, but I'm just going to kind of freehand that, and by squeezing the lid I get a nice little puddle of Pool Party. I'm going to go in with my aqua painter, and there's really no right or wrong to this. I'm going to do it on both of them, and you can go back up and get close to your other colors if you want. And what's beautiful about watercoloring is you don't even have to cover it all. You can just give it some broad brush strokes. so now I've got my background. I'm going to come back in and use this splatter image and give a little bit of definition to my sand. And I'm going to use that same color, crumb cake, and just add a few dots on there. The next thing I'm going to do is add my evening sun, and I'm using Calypso Coral. And I love that even this circle meant to be the sun or whatever you choose to, it doesn't stamp solid and even, so you get a watercolor look with that. And we're going to add our palm trees. I'm just using soft suede for the trunk. And before I switch colors, I'm going to go ahead and take and add my greeting right below my sun. And the last thing to add to my watercolor picture are the tops of my palm trees. And I'm using Tranquil Tide for that. And there you have it. The next thing to do is to start assembling my card. I've got a piece of Pool Party that I already cut or embossed with the Seaside embossing folder. And I want to show you a little trick. I ran out of linen thread, and I am going to take my burlap ribbon and just cut away at the edge. And you can just keep going, and you'll have that many strands, however many there are across there, that you can use instead of linen thread. I have another one that I had cut up ahead, so I'm just going to tie that around. So that's a little bonus tip, and being able to stretch your supplies a little bit farther. If you run out of linen thread ever, you can use the burlap ribbon. You can actually get more pieces from that. And so by tying that up, and then I've got some that I've already assembled on a scallop square that I cut out with the layering squares. That will go on top. And the last touch that I have on here, that's kind of fun, even though I'm working on shimmery white, I add a little bit of Wink Stella to my sun so that it really glistens. And so there you have it. Here's the finished card again, layered. I did pop this up on dimensionals. There is my burlap ribbon wrapped around, and put a whisper white insert. It's 4 by 5 1/4. There you have it. Fun and easy beachfront scene with the Waterfront stamp sets. I hope you'll give this new watercoloring technique a try.